Hello, we are back. We're ready to do another beautiful version, reading of our book club, Be Holy for I Am Holy book club. We are reading The Beautiful Visions of Anne Catherine Emmerich. She was beatified in 2004, St. Pope Paul John II. Beatified her, meaning that she has been approved by the church. All her visions have been approved, even though they might differ. They might differ from other people's visions, and sometimes she might not have everything like it is in the Bible. Because remember, guys, they're visions. They're like dreams. They're like things that come to her mind from what actually happened. And sometimes everything doesn't come to her mind that's actually on, because yesterday somebody mentioned, why are the readings sometimes leaving out certain things? But it's because, like, the reading that I read a week ago left out Veronica. It was because she didn't see Veronica at that vision. It doesn't mean that she wasn't.
Oh, you did one yesterday? I didn't share it yet. Okay, I'll go look.
I do one every day. But
oh my God.
So that's why they differ. So, and there's a book you can tell us, because I forgot to write it down for people or write it down for myself, that explains that so much better.
In the link.
Yes, it explains it so much better, guys. It's Mary and all the visions.
It puts them all together. Yeah.
Yes, that book, I gotta buy that book. I gotta buy that book.
We have it on, I think we have it on Kindle.
Yes, because it explains it perfectly, guys, because the priest, the way he explains it, so much better than us, let me tell you. And it's
Jeanette,
at the beginning.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
That all those links that she's talking about are below. But Jeanette, can I tell you something? Yesterday, because it was the Lord's Day, and now I'm doing vigil mass so that I can really spend more time with the Lord on the Lord's Day as well as vigil mass. I watched visions about Hildegard von Bingham, because it's Elizabeth saint that she chose for her confirmation. And guess what? She mentioned that he said he brought her books, because back then, they didn't have much books. You had to be rich. And he brought her a library of books to choose from. And she said, "Does it have the unicorn?" I near fell down.
Oh,
I'm going to put the link below to the movie.
Oh, I love that, because that was your problem at the beginning. You're like, I don't know, I want to believe her.
I wanted to make sure I wanted to make sure it was approved by the church, because unicorn. But go ahead and say what you're saying.
But sometimes, like I said, a unicorn to her might be just a white horse that has a bump on the head to us. We just don't know, because all the animals and all the vegetables and the fruits, because I read this from her vision yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, when they talk about the Adam and Eve, because this Hopeful Mysteries that she wrote is all about Adam and Eve. And the way that and the way that they describe it is that all the trees, everything was so much different when they were barely made. They weren't the same as now.
It would have been different. It has changed.
Deformed. They got all deformed from after the fall, and just kept going downhill from there. So everything has been done differently, seen differently. So that's totally understandable.
Did you see that funny thing that I shared about the tree yesterday?
Oh, that was a weird one.
That's deformed tree.
Yes.
And I really wanted to that's what our trees are going to look like toward the end times.
Yeah, I shared that one. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
So let's go to the reading.
I just want to say one more thing. Please, guys, watch Jeanette's. We're going to put them on her YouTube, not this Friday, but next Friday. But watch Jeanette's Mysteries of the Rosary that she's reading from Catherine Emmerich's
Yeah, it's a little book.
description
It's a
of,
little book, guys. If you don't want to watch it and you prefer to read, it's a little book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere, but they're wonderful visions. It's called The Holy Rosary through Anne Catherine Emmerich's Visions. It's a little brown book, and they're amazing. They're amazing. And I've been doing them. Now I'm at the very last. It's weird because she added another mystery in there. It's called the Hopeful Mysteries.
and
So
she makes them. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish that.
no,
That's
it's
important.
okay.
That's
Go ahead.
important. No, finish it because that's important.
I forgot what I was.
The Hopeful Mysteries. Explain it.
Oh, I just dropped my earring. Yeah, it's just the Hopeful Mysteries, just an extra
Added.
five,
Yeah.
an extra five that she added, but I'm really enjoying them because she's like going through creation.
Yeah.
And she even talked about the angels, and it's just amazing. So
And the thing is that people get really crazy that Pope John Paul II added luminous, which are the sacraments. So I don't know why they get goofy about that.
they're just prayers, guys. They're just,
Yeah,
you
that's all.
take apart parts of the Bible, the mysteries that you already know.
Yeah, but what they
and
say
then you
is
pray on them.
they were not sent in a vision. If he wanted them said, he would have said them in a vision to what Pope John Paul had no right. But he does have the right. He's the Pope. That's the point. He has the right.
Yeah.
But here's the
and
thing.
you guys don't have to. You guys don't have to listen to the
You don't
last one, the
have to.
hopeful, if you don't want to,
You
or the
don't have
luminous.
to,
You don't have
but
to.
think of it this way. It's just extra description. Just like we don't have to believe in the prophets, different people that visions and all that. But it is an added thing for people who are looking for that. And before we go on, I wanted to say one more thing. I interrupted you and now I forgot what
Oh,
it
it's okay.
was. No, I forgot. If I
Well,
remember.
while you remember, we're going through the whole walk still, guys. We're still not at the baptism.
Right.
We're going toward the baptism. And now he picked up on Monday, we did the reading, he picked up the Essenian Eliud, and he's still with him. And they're still traveling, and this is another place they stopped. So we are going to read about today Jesus discourses with Eliud, the Essenian, upon the mysteries of the Old Testament and the most holy incarnation.
I thought you said it was pronounced Eliud.
I don't know, but guys, Eliud or Eliud, yeah.
We don't know. We're just doing the best we can with pronunciation.
Yeah.
We can't help it. We don't know these names,
Yeah. So here we go. Jesus passed the whole day in most confidential intercourse with Eliud, who asked him various questions about his mission. Jesus explained all to the old man, telling him that he was the Messiah, speaking of the lineage of his human genealogy and the mystery of the Ark of the Covenant. I learned then that that mystery had, before the flood, been taken into the Ark of Noah, that it had descended from generation to generation, disappearing from time to time, but again coming to light. Jesus said that Mary, at her birth, had become the Ark of the Covenant of the mystery. Then Eliud, who during the discourse frequently produced various rolls of writing and pointed out different passages of prophets which Jesus explained to him, asked why he, Jesus, had not come sooner upon earth.
Wow.
Jesus answered that he could not have been born only of a woman who had been conceived in the same way, that were it not for the fall, all mankind would have been conceived, and that since the first parents, no married couple could been so pure both in themselves and in their ancestors as Anne and Joachim.
Wow.
Unfolded the past generations to Eliud and pointed out to him the obstacles that had delayed redemption. I learned from this conference many details concerning the Ark of the Covenant. Whenever it was in any danger or whenever there was fear of its falling into enemies' hands, the mystery was removed by the priests. Yet still was it the ark so holy that its profaners were punished and forced to restore it. I saw that the family to whom Moses entrusted the special guardianship of the ark existed until Herod's time. At the Babylonian captivity, Jeremiah hid the ark and other sacred things on Mount Sinai. They were never afterwards found, but the mystery had been removed. A second ark was, at a later period, constructed on the first model, but it did not contain the sacred objects that had been preserved in the first. Aaron's rod, also a portion of the mystery, were in the keeping of Essenians on Horeb. The sacrament of the blessing was, however, but I know not by what priest, again replaced in the ark. In the pit, which was afterwards the pool of Bethsaida, the sacred fire had been preserved. I saw in pictures very many things which Jesus explained to Eliud. I heard part of the words, but I cannot recall it. He related the fact of his having taken flesh of the blessed germ of which God had deprived Adam before his fall. That blessed germ, by means of which all Israel should have become worthy of him, had descended through many generations. He explained how his corning had been so often retarded, how some of the chosen vessels had become unworthy. I saw all this as a reality. I saw all the ancestors of Jesus and how the ancient patriarchs at their death gave over the blessing sacramentally to the firstborn. I saw that the morsel and the drink out of the holy cup, which Abraham had received from the angel, along with the promise of a son, Isaac, were a symbol of the most holy sacrament of the new covenant, and that their invigorating power was due to the flesh and blood of the future Messiah. I saw the ancestors of Jesus receiving this sacrament in order to contribute to the incarnation of God. And I saw that Jesus of the flesh and blood received from his forefathers, instituted a most august sacrament for the uniting of men with God. And
Jesus spoke much to Eliud, also of the sanctity of Anne and Joachim, and of the supernatural conception of Mary under the Golden Gate. He told them that not by Joseph had he been conceived, but from Mary according to the flesh, that she had been conceived of that pure blessing which had been taken from Adam before the fall, which through Abraham had descended until it was possessed by Joseph in Egypt, after whose death it had been deposited in the Ark of the Covenant, and thence withdrawn to be handed over to Joachim and Anne. Jesus said that to free man, he had been sent into the weakness of humanity, that he received and felt everything like a man, that like the serpent of Moses in the desert, he would one day be raised up on Mount Calvary, where the body of the first man lay buried. Wow. He referred also to the sad future that awaited him and to the ingratitude of man. Eliud simply and confidently asked question after question, although he understood that Jesus said better than did the disciples, although looking upon things in a more spiritual sense than they, yet all was not clear to him. He could not rightly comprehend how the mission of Jesus was to be accomplished. He asked Jesus where his kingdom was to be, in Jerusalem, in Jericho, or in Gadi. Jesus answered that where he himself was, there would his kingdom be, and that he would have no external kingdom. The old man spoke to Jesus so naturally and simply. He related to him many things of his mother as if he knew them not, and Jesus listened to him so kindly. He told him of Joachim and Anne and spoke of the life and death of the latter. Jesus remarked that no woman had ever been more chaste than Anne, that she had married twice after Joachim's death in accordance with the command of God, for it was proper that a number of fruits destined to be produced by this branch should fill up. As Eliud recounted the circumstances of Anne's death, I had a vision of the same. I saw her lying on a rather high couch in a back room, something like Mary's, of her own large house. She was unusually animated and talkative, and not at all like a dying person. I saw her blessing of her little daughters, also her other relatives who were in the antechamber. Mary was standing at the head, Jesus at the foot of her bed. Jesus was at this time a young man. His beard was just beginning to appear. Anne blessed Mary, begging the blessing of Jesus, and continued speaking in a joyous strain. Suddenly, she glanced upward and became white as snow, and I saw drops like pearls starting out on her forehead. Oh, that's what happened to my mom. I cried out, "Ah, she is dying. She is dying." And in my eagerness, I wanted to clasp her in my arms. Then it seemed to me that she came and rested in them. On awaking, I still thought that I held her. Oh, wow. Eliud related also many things connected with the virtue of Mary in the temple. As he spoke, I saw it in a vision. I saw that her teacher, Noemi, was one of Lazarus' relatives. She was about 50 years old, and like all the other women who served in the temple, she was an Essenian. I saw that Mary learned from her how to knit. Even as a child, she used to go with Noemi when the latter went to cleanse the different vessels and utensils that had been soiled with the blood of sacrifice. Certain parts of the animal sacrifice were received by them, then cut up and prepared as food for the priests and others who served them in the temple, for they depended in part upon that for support. I saw the Blessed Virgin at a later period helping in these duties. I saw Zachary when it was his turn to serve in the sanctuary, visiting the child Mary. Simeon also knew her, and so as Eliud was recounting it to the Lord, I saw all her pious and lowly serving in the temple. They spoke also of Christ's conception, and Eliud told of Mary's visit to Elizabeth. Eliud mentioned also a spring, excuse me, that Mary had found there, and that too I saw. I saw the Blessed Virgin going with Elizabeth, Zachary, and Joseph from Zachary's house to another property belonging to him, and on which there was no water. Wow. The Blessed Virgin went alone into the garden, a little rod in her hand, and prayed. She pierced the earth with the rod, and a tiny stream gushed out and flowed around a little knoll. When Zachary and Joseph removed the earth with a spade, an abundant supply rushed forth and soon formed a most beautiful spring. Zachary dwelt about 5 hours southward from Jerusalem and a little to the west. In confidential discourse like the above, interrupted only by prayer, Eliud treated with Jesus. He honored him, but quite simply and joyously looking upon him as a chosen human being. Eliud's daughter did not dwell in the same house with her father, but at some distance in a rocky cavern. There were about 20 Essenians living on the mountain. The women dwelt apart from the men, about 5 or 6 together. All honored Eliud as their superior and daily assembled around him for prayer. Jesus ate with him alone, but very sparingly. Their past, consisting of bread, fruit, honey, and fish, weaving, and agriculture, formed the chief occupation of these people. The mountain at which the base the Essenians dwelt was the highest peak of a ridge. On one of those plateaus, Nazareth was built. A valley lay between it and the city. In the other side, the descent was steep and overgrown with verdure and grapevines. I don't know what that is. The abyss at its base, the one into which the Pharisees at a later period wanted to precipitate Jesus, was full of all kinds of rubbish, ordure, and bones. Mary's house stood on a hill outside the city, part of it extending into the hill like a cave. The top of the house, however, arose above the hill, on the opposite side of which lay other dwellings. Mary and the other women, accompanied by Kalea, Leah's son, arrived at her house in the valley of Capernaum. Her female friends in the neighborhood came out to meet her. Mary's dwelling at Capernaum belonged to a man named Levi, who lived in a large house not very far from it. It had been rented from Levi by Peter's family and given over to the Holy Family, for Peter and Andrew knew the Holy Family in a general way, also through John the Baptist, whose disciples they were. The house had several buildings attached to it in which relatives of the family of the disciples could stay when visiting the Holy Family. It appeared to have been chosen on that account. Mary Cleopas had with her her little boy Simeon, about 2 years old, the son of her third marriage. Toward evening, Jesus accompanied Eliud from his house to Nazareth. Outside the city walls, where Joseph had had his carpenter shop, lived several people, poor but good, who had been known to Joseph, and among whose sons were some of the playmates of Jesus' childhood. Eliud took Jesus to visit these people. They offered their guests a morsel of bread and a little fresh water. The water was especially good at Nazareth. I saw Jesus sitting on the ground among them and exhorting them to go to the baptism of John. They acted somewhat shyly in Jesus's regard. They had in the past looked upon him as one of themselves, but now that he was so gravely introduced to them by Eliud, whom they all so highly honored, whose advice they often asked, from whom they were accustomed to seek consolation, and who moreover united in persuading them to go to the baptism, they could scarcely reconcile themselves to the position he now held toward them. He had indeed heard of the Messiah, but they had indeed heard of the Messiah, but they could hardly think that Jesus was he. And the next one is Jesus and Eliud walking and conversing together. But wow, let's go back to the
We
beginning.
learned so much today. Wow.
Oh my gosh, Jeanette,
Yeah.
this is one of the most beautiful.
Yes. Very
I told
eye-opening
you.
today, the reading.
Yes. And there's so many insights. Let's talk from the very beginning. So, Jesus passed the whole day the most confidential with Eliud. Eliud has been elevated according to this end part. We'll get to that. But pay attention to this Eliud. I had never heard of him. Jesus, I don't know where he is in the Bible. Jeanette may know more of that.
Yeah.
But,
His last name,
we have a last name.
is Kipchog.
Please send me the link. Okay, sorry.
Yes, I'll send it to you.
And and I'll put it in the bottom, guys. So Jesus explained to all the old man, telling him that he was the Messiah. So he told Eliud, speaking of the lineage of his human genealogy and the mystery of the Ark of the Covenant. There were two. I learned that when the mystery had before the flood been taken into the Ark of Noah, which Jeanette pronounced Noah because that before Noah was known as Noah, he was called No. So that's why she pronounced it correctly, so that to make sure that there was no misunderstanding, that it was descended from generation to generation, disappearing from time to time. We still don't know where it actually is still. Some people say, oh, it's been found, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
I find it so amazing how Jesus, before going to the baptism, how he's going town to town, he's collecting, he's sharing the good news, he's sharing who he is. A lot of these people didn't have any idea or didn't know.
Not everybody
to a certain extent. Yeah, to a certain extent, because he couldn't be persecuted yet because he had a goal,
Right.
But along the way, he picks up Eliud being such an important figure.
Yes.
That people admire, to understand him better. He gives them the opportunity to get to know him. Wow, to get to know Jesus, guys. And that's what we're doing now. We are traveling with them. It gives me chills. We are traveling with them through these situations, and we're so blessed to be able to do that. It's just amazing. Anyway, I had to say that.
And let me tell you something, Jeanette. Before this book, I never liked to read these kind of things because I was like, well, we don't know. The church has gone through and looked at historically how everything is correct and that it doesn't go against any doctrine. So they've approved it. But even though I knew it was approved, Jeanette, I never liked reading stuff like this because I wasn't sure I believed it. And I said, I never wanted to, but Jeanette wanted me to. And I couldn't do the rosary thing that she's doing now, which I think is better because she's better at compacting things. Anyway, I think it's better she's doing it on her own. But anyway, I only did this for her. I didn't want to read this book, but I have been so blessed.
The Holy Spirit made me grab you. That's what it is. It wasn't me.
You do something for others, when you are charitable, you get a blessing back. My blessing has been doing this and learning so much. And I also learned from Jeanette as she reminds me of things like, I'm like, I don't remember hearing about Eliud. Well, Jeanette knows, and she, she knows more details like that, because I am a big picture person and she's a very she's studied very detailed. And so I just find it so fascinating. Here it's telling us that Jesus and Mary at her birth have become the Ark of the Covenant, which we know because the church has taught it. So I think the church gets a lot of their understandings from prophets like her. And then Eliud frequently produced various rolls of writing and pointed out different passages of the prophets, which Jesus explained to him why Jesus, had not come sooner upon the earth. And Jesus says, Mary was not just a woman, as Protestants want to claim. The fact is, it had to be set up exactly right through certain people who went through certain experiences. Just like we know now how DNA, each generation gets different mutations and we get more and more distorted. But certain mutations were being set up for Mary to have certain attributes to her, not just physically, but internally. Oh my gosh, guys. I don't know.
I also think the world had to be in a certain position, a certain way. Correct. It couldn't be Moses's time. It couldn't.
Correct.
It was planned.
They needed Abraham
by God himself. Yeah, it was written by God himself.
And
Isaiah 55:8-9.
And if you look below, you will see all the covenants. Covenants aren't just, oh, that's nice, they broke blood and they were blood brothers. It's more than that. It is not just sacred. These covenants are necessary. And I don't know if you can see this beauty here today, guys, but I'm telling you, the beauty of these covenants. We talk in the Great Adventure about specific covenants. Below, you will see them. I don't, when I have to erase for YouTube some of the writing, because we share so much, it doesn't let me put as much. You can see on my Facebook more of the key events, but I always leave the covenants because they are so important. And that's kind of what this is saying here. So let's go on. So it says that no married couple, and he's also saying right here how what she is saying that Jesus said to Eliud, that his grandparents, like Mary, were so pure, had to be born of people. The Essenians were very pure. I don't know if we have Essenians today. There's a link below about the history of them. And I haven't researched it as much as I should. But I don't know if Essenians are still alive today. I do know my daughter is an Ashkenazi Jew, and that supposedly came from Jesus. That's why I always wanted a Jewish man and a husband. And I tell my daughter all the time, she comes from the line of Jesus's people. So I don't know if the Essenians become Ashkenazis or not, who, by the way, won most of the Pulitzer Prizes for intelligence. They are like the highest intelligence. They've won half of the Pulitzer Prize, the intelligence, like because of the science and all. Extremely intelligent people. Anyway, but my daughter did get part of us, so I don't know. But anyway, so the fall would have been conceived. It had to be after that, but also the first parents had to be Anne and Joachim. Very, very they're like one of the first couple saints, although there are some before, I guess. I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, there has to be, because some of them that were in the covenant. Yeah. But anyway, so then Jesus unfolded the past generations to Eliud and pointed out the obstacles that had delayed redemption. You guys have to understand, this reading is huge. Then she said, then what's what's confusing about Anne Emmerich's visions in the way she writes them. Now she's switching. I learned. See, she's talking about Jesus with him. Then she goes into what she learned at that time in the 1800s from her vision. From this conference, many details concerning the Ark of the Covenant. Now, wait for this. Says, whenever it was in danger, or whenever there was fear of it falling into enemies' hands. Remember how, who was it, Samuel, or who was it, Jeanette, that they fell dead when they touched this thing. This was very protected.
Yeah, because the ark was like, it was starting to fall, and he ran to hold it up so it wouldn't fall. And because he touched it, and he wasn't one of the priests that were allowed to touch it. He wasn't allowed.
It had properties. It had magical properties.
He died.
Yeah, and he died. So yeah, so this had very special.
And David got really scared, and he was
David
like,
didn't want it. He's like, don't bring that to my
house. But then David changed the way that it was carried, the way that he changed everything around.
Yep, because he knew. And listen, and for 4 months or something, he wouldn't let it in his house or something.
No, and it ended up going to somebody else, and that person got so blessed.
So blessed. David's like, wait a minute, maybe
I want it back now. Give it back.
But do you see how do you see how God arranged everything to reveal these mysteries to the people? He blessed that person so David would see that. That's what he does in our life. No detail is too small in your life. God is working in your life, and no detail is too small for him. He's working in your life. Remember that daily. Every week when we go through, like I said yesterday, the rosary, my insights, every week we are to live his passion and become more united to him. Okay, so let's go on. So it was so holy that profaners were punished and forced to restore it. I saw that the family whom Jesus entrusted the guardianship. I have a sense, Jeanette, that because we're learning so much in our consecration for our guardian angel, which is 1 year consecration. Next year we'll do a 2-year, which is the holy angels. So we're in 3-year consecration program, Jeanette and I, and a group of our friends. But we're learning so much about angels that I think that the guardian angel, or that the ark has legions of guardian angels around it. They're the ones that are giving it those special properties to not allow someone, because as you notice here, it says people who damaged it, some of them weren't killed. So I think he allowed that one to be killed for David to understand how it had to be carried, like Jeanette said. And then not all were killed. So these angels, they're messengers of God, remember. So that
we get wake-up calls, guys. We get wake-up calls. We get slapped. We get a lot of things happen to us in our lives. We don't realize. We're like, why did that happen?
They're wake-up calls.
Think about it. They're lessons that we are given. They're disciplines.
It's what do they call an insight? A sudden insight, an epiphany. You may suddenly have an epiphany, and it often comes through your guardian angel, by the way, or angels. So just so you know that the epiphany, remember, think about the epiphany, but we also have our own individual epiphanies. Nothing is too small for God. We are all a piece of his body, which is why we have to take the Eucharist, to take it and unite ourselves more and more. That's why he wants us building his kingdom. And George Farmer, he was very political, which I'm very political. Yet I was watching part 2 yesterday of his thing. I'll put a link below. Remind me, Jeanette. I'll have to rewatch this now to remind all the links I'm putting in beside Hildegard Bingham, now the George Farmer. He said he's no longer doing politics. He's waiting, I think, for his wife to turn Catholic because she's looking at Catholicism. He's doing ministry. He said, because what I found out is that I'm being revealed. He said, since I became a Catholic, this is why the converted people the Protestants who convert are so important to building God's kingdom. They're our teachers. Guess what he said? I now know what my goal is supposed to be, he said, this politics doesn't matter. He's been told by his guardian angel, I believe, I'm saying that. He didn't say that, but they are messengers, that he is now going to consider a ministry for spreading the kingdom of the Lord, which he said is through the Catholic Church. Because he became a Catholic, he understands that now. I believe it's his guardian angel. I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna put the link
Look at
below.
Jeff Cavins. I love Jeff Cavins.
Yeah, but Jeff Cavins was originally a Catholic. He became a Protestant who taught him to be a teacher. You see, everything in our lives, anything in our lives helps us. I believe, and I have learned, I was always like Protestants, oh, they used to annoy me. But God revealed to me, because I had such a thing, and Jeanette is a builder with Protestants. She never felt that way about Protestants. I always felt I had a bias against them. I do not anymore, because God revealed to me, probably through my guardian angel who gives us messages. Remember, it's where they come from. That's what they are. That Protestants are the lost teachers of the church.
That's how I learned most of my Bible information that I have.
That's what
I studied in all these different non-denominational churches. No, I would do both. I would do both.
But you were
I'd
getting
go to mass,
confused.
and I'd go to another church.
But you were getting confused. Remember, when we first met, you were getting confused. Be very careful. Jeanette had to learn that Catholics teach the Bible now, because the Protestant was not a reformation. It was more of a restoration, is what Taylor Marshall says. And what's happened is our great Protestant brothers and sisters, which that's what they are, have come home and they teach. So if you know Protestants, tell them they need to come home and help us build the kingdom, because they are our lost teachers. Okay, so let's move on. So here, no, but that's important, Jeanette.
I know.
You know, okay, so here they were punished. They weren't killed this time. Because the angels knew which ones. Remember, they have the swords, and they can act for God. I saw that the family to whom Moses entrusted the special guardianship of the ark existed until Herod's time, Jeanette. At the Babylon captivity, Jeremiah's hid the ark and other sacred things on Mount Sinai. They would not know, and they keep thinking they found it. I don't know if they have or not. They might have found the second one, the reproduction of it, because
I didn't know about that second one, so that's interesting.
Because it does not have the sacred items. Remember, some things God doesn't want us to find. He made the Ark of the Covenant now Mary, so he may not allow us to ever find that, or he may, but it will be revealed on his time. We can look all we want till the end of time. It will only, these scientists that take credit for finding things, it's only through God that they find them. That's what they found out through the Shroud of Turin, by the way. You know how many scientists have come home to God because people have separated science in the Catholic Church, which it is no separate. There's a book, I'll put it below, another link I have to put in, but that tells about science and Catholicism go together. You know how many people have been changed because of the Turin? He will only reveal the ark when it is the time in history, just like we're talking about these covenants. Okay, so let's move on. So the second ark, at a later period, constructed on the first model, but did not contain the sacred objects, had been preserved in the first. Aaron's rod, also a portion of the mystery, were in the keeping of Essenians at Horeb. Jeanette, we have to get that little tiny Ark of the Covenant with all the little sacred objects in it from Temu. It's only like $15.
Oh, I didn't know. You gotta give me that link. Oh,
I knew you would want that.
Yeah,
I want it, but I don't have any room. Anyway,
I gotta have that.
But it's only $15. The
I gotta have it.
The sacred of the blessing, however, was the sacrament of the blessing, however, but I know not what the priest again replaced in the ark. There you go. So so we don't know which one they think they've discovered on Mount Sinai, but the church knows a lot from this. In the pit, which was afterward the pool of Bethsaida, Jeanette, a healing place, the sacred fire had been preserved.
Yeah, that's the pool that Saint Michael, that the angel Michael would stir. Remember, we learned from the movie. That's where I knew that that our conqueror, our fighting angel, Saint Michael, he also is a healer. I didn't know that.
Yes, Jeanette. Remember, you got scared when I said Mrs. Surefire, because fire. I'm sorry to bring astrology. I only look at for personality. I'm an Aries. We are fire. We are transformers. We're initiators. We're not always good at finishing, which is why I like Jeanette. She helps me finish. But listen, we are good initiators. Fire initiates. So the sacred fire has been preserved. And look, the pool of Bethsaida, fire is a transformer. That's the beauty of fire. Just like purgatory is, we go up there and it's painful and it burns our sins. Unless you do what the Pope gave us an out for, I'll put below: 2 Our Fathers, 2 Hail Marys, 2 Glory Bees, which I do 1, 1, 1 twice. Every day is an indulgence. If you do that, you and 4 of your generations of your family will be saved from purgatory. It takes not even 2 minutes. If you do that every day.
Yeah, yesterday at my at our homily, it was so interesting. It was Father Augustine. Sometimes he teaches.
And you didn't tape it.
I know, because I don't like to have my phone on, because so many people call me all the time.
Stop.
And I just don't want to get, I don't want to get any kind of an interruption while I'm in church.
But Jeanette, you can put it on the seat and not like take his picture. You can just record. Okay,
I'll try.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I wish I would have, because it was so good.
What church is it?
There were so many stuff that he said that I didn't know.
What church, Jeanette?
It was Nativity, and it was the.
Wish I could follow him and Father the other teacher that
Bowman.
Yes, the 2 of them, Augustine and
they're
Bowman.
really
They're
good.
such good
They're
teachers.
really good.
Darn it.
But yeah, he actually has all his homilies in a book, and he just brings out that paper, and he brings the paper, so he just like reads and doesn't forget what he's amazing. Anyway, he said, and I knew this, but I didn't quite remember it, and it was just recalled to me, how that little tiny piece. Do you know what that little tiny piece of the Eucharist that they put in the chalice? You saw how they break it, and then they put a little piece in the blood of Christ.
Yeah,
that's the Pope. That is the Pope. That's the Pope with us, coming to our celebration of that Holy Mass, because the Pope was Peter. That's why, because they talked about Peter yesterday. They talked about how he's the rock, and how people that don't understand why we have a Pope need to look at that when they say it's not in the Bible, because yes, it is.
Yes,
Peter was the Pope.
Right.
He was.
What is binded and loosed, Jesus said in Matthew, I think it's 16:18 or 18:16, what is bound here on earth is bound in heaven, which that's why that indulgence from that priest that says, if you say 2 Our Fathers, 2 Hail Marys, and 2 Glory Bees, it's bound by a Pope who the Bible says has authority. The Catholic Church is the only one with true authority.
Yes, and it's always been like that. They've always had one.
We have written down each Pope from day one.
From Peter.
It is in a
Yeah.
document, an actual document in the Vatican, which the Muslims tried to destroy during the Crusades. That's what the Crusades, people think that, oh, the Catholics were killing people because they wouldn't become Catholic. No, it was about protecting the sacred things, which is why the Ark of the Covenant may still be hidden.
So that little tiny piece, guys, is how important it is wherever the Pope did Mass, being at a little chapel at his house, because he has a special chapel. Sometimes he does daily Mass there, or at wherever it is, St. Peter's Cathedral, whatever that place is called. Wherever he's doing Mass, that little piece is him being present in our celebration. And I'm like, wow.
And I don't care if you like the Pope or not, the Pope has authority. And God
was chosen. I'm sorry, guys. He was chosen.
God fixes anything that a Pope does in his humanity, that he doesn't understand something, if he's been raised in third world country or whatever. You don't have to worry about that. God's got it covered.
No.
And we must respect the office of the Pope higher than any president. Okay. Yes. If you respect your president, whether you like him or not, you have to respect the office. The same goes for the Pope. What he says, God will fix any mistakes, just like he fixes our mistakes for us. That's what did he say? What do we learn at Lent times through our children's book? If you want to link to it, I will share it here. God prefers mercy over sacrifice. Give what we have to do, which I learned, that's the only thing I learned from Doug, more about charity. He had been another Protestant, which he was driving me crazy. But Jeanette,
well, he was very knowledgeable. I learned a lot from Doug.
You learned a lot, but I already knew it from
I liked him.
Taylor. But I'm glad you guys got a lot out of it. I did get a very important thing from him about charity. And in fact, I was teaching that last night with my kids in our rosary. And I did a lot of teaching last night, Jeanette. I hope, so anyway, I can't share it because my kids don't want it, because we talk a lot of personal things on because this is something I'm creating for them, for a memory, it's my Mother's Day spiritual bouquet. But anyway, so the point is that yesterday's homily was about the Pope and bonding, and we must respect that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. As we can respect the indulgences, all that indulgence stuff that came from Martin Luther, who was a Catholic that was mentally a little unstable because he had been beaten and had a problem with patriarchy. He was beaten by his father and his mother till he bled. If you don't know his story, he took 7 books out, changed words, confused Protestants. We lost our teachers. Now they're coming back. Please, if you're Protestant, we love you. Come home. Go ahead, Jeanette. Yesterday we were talking about the homily and
yeah, if you think about it, a lot of people have the question of there's a lot of really bad priests out there. There's a lot of people that are human that have become priests.
And Judas was bad, and Jesus chose him himself.
Yes, and he even washed his feet when he knew what he was going to do to him, and he still washed his feet. That's why we're supposed to wash our enemies' feet and cater to our enemies and love them, even though they're our enemies and they are going to stab us at the end.
Do you know how much that helps me in my personal life? Yeah. You have no idea. My mother told me on her deathbed I had a problem with forgiveness. This is why I'm so grateful for Jeanette. We met at Rosary class. The Rosary is like a lasso. I helped her get away from her Protestant stuff, and she helped me to understand some things like forgiveness. She's my Mary. My mom.
I don't have a problem, guys, going to other churches and doing activities and stuff.
Right. She's a bridge builder. She was confused, but now she knows her faith more. Yeah. So she can, she knows, like Jean. Jean is another great bridge builder. But now Jeanette knows where she doesn't get confused anymore. So she can do that today. So
I have best friends.
If you don't know your faith enough, be very careful.
I have best friends that go to Northland and that go to all these other Lifeway and all these other churches, Baptist churches. I love Lifeway. I actually was a door holder for them for years.
Right.
But I also do my Catholic, and the reason why I go there sometimes is because my
Your
best
friend.
friends don't want to go alone. You know,
But eventually,
so yes,
but
eventually I go.
your
Yeah,
job is to evangelize to them.
Yes, yes. I go with them. I go with them a couple times, whatever. They start getting back in the hang of things, and then little by little, I don't go anymore, and they still go. So I'm
Right.
like, that's great. It's just like we're trying to get them
Right.
to have a
I
relationship with Jesus. One thing is to know Jesus, guys, because even the devil knows Jesus. The
That's
devil
right.
knows who Jesus is. But to have a relationship with him is a different story.
And to have the Eucharist is the closest relationship you'll
Yes.
ever have. And we have to teach that to Protestants that are confused.
But
But
what I was
I
trying,
believe there are layers of Christianity for a reason. Just like I told my niece, who is who had been an addict, as she still fights it. I'm very careful in keeping distance, but the point is, because bad things have happened, but the point is that Jesus allows himself to be hidden in the 12-step program, which is based on Saint Ignatius, if you don't know that. And because Bill W. was a Catholic, and a priest and a nun helped him form that. And he allowed his face to be veiled by the addict and called spiritual. But he wants to be known as Jesus. He does that for a very wounded people. Hold on, this is important. The addicts. He allows himself to be veiled. But for Protestants, remember, some of them are very wounded by churches or whatever. And so I believe there are layers of Christianity, just like there are layers of heaven. And where you end up on your eternal life depends on what level you start at. So we got to work toward the pinnacle, which is the Catholic Church. So we have to help our Christian brothers and sisters. They are not our enemy. And Jeanette has helped me to be a better bridge builder, which I'm not necessarily a bridge builder like her. She's a very good. Jean is even, oh gosh, she's like, because she's
our Mother Teresa.
Oh my gosh, because she does.
I want to be like Jean when I grow up. I want to be like Jean when I grow up.
Talk about charity that we get. Let's get back to charity that we learned from Doug, that I learned from Doug. How important charity is. That was lost with Martin Luther, because he changed, words. He took out words and took out books. Totally confused them on purgatory. So that's why they don't pray for the dead. We got to pray for our dead. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you're not going to heaven because you're not Catholic,
no,
guys. Just
it's
so
a different
you know,
neighborhood.
because you will be surprised. There's all kinds of people in heaven, and God is the last judge. And Father Mike says it. Father Mike says it very well. Father Mike says it very well in a video, much better than we do, guys, because sometimes we say it badly and it sounds like we're being
but God's not going to
say, but we're not.
God's not going to say you were in the wrong building on the wrong day. You're not getting in heaven. He's not going to say it.
I just want to finish, because then I'll lose my train of thought. They're going to go to heaven because they believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, and they follow and they're repentant and blah, blah, blah. But the Catholics just have a little more knowledge. It's like saying the Pope versus me.
Right.
The Pope is like way up there. But you know what? God loves us the same.
That's
because
right.
We believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. We just want to know a little more. We just want to keep learning. We just want to get closer. We just can't get enough of Jesus. We can't get enough of the saints. We can't. The Eucharist. We just want to keep. It wasn't the Bible, guys, and it isn't all the Bibles. If you eat my bread, if you eat my body, I'm going to put
all the Bible verses below.
If you eat my body, you'll have eternal life. It's in there. And
Jeanette just shared a funny video.
the people were freaked out. Oh my gosh, I'm leaving. What are you talking about? Your body, your flesh? We gotta eat your flesh.
They weren't allowed to eat
freaked
blood.
out. They split.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
half of them left him. He didn't fix it, saying, "No, it's not my flesh, guys. It is my."
He didn't say it's a symbol.
It is a symbol of what I'm going to. No, he said, "Yes, it's my body." And when he was doing it, there's so many other things. Anyway. But what I was trying to say at the beginning, we kind of rolled all over the place, guys.
But hold on, I'm going to put a link below what Jeanette shared, which has the Bible verses. It's a funny video you'll enjoy. I'll put the link below. Go ahead, Jeanette.
I just want to finish. Initially, 10 minutes ago, I
had a lot to finish too, girl. Go ahead.
Okay. I was trying to say that when priests are not perfect, because they are human.
Right.
Just like the Pope is human. But when they are doing and representing Christ, no matter what they are doing, no matter if they're saying the wrong words, which a lot of people don't feel the way I do, which is, this is just my sense of it. There's a priest doing a baptism, which there was a big old thing a while ago. Yet he
doesn't matter. Their hands are still consecrated.
Exactly. They are being Christ at that moment. They are being Christ in the confessional. They are being Christ opening up, giving
the
that
Bible
Eucharist.
Says it.
Yes. So
and Leviticus is all about the priests.
They are being Christ. And all those priests back then, man, you can read in the Bible, all their stories are really crazy. A lot of them. They were not perfect.
No,
but they were being Christ at that time. And that's why it is sacred.
We don't think the Pope is perfect, by the way.
I'm done. You can go on.
Yeah, but just so you guys know, we don't think the Pope is perfect. What he does, the only time is when he gives a thing from the chair of Peter. Only a certain time we say it's facilitated through God. Will there be human messages in there that can get a little bit because of his humanity? Yes. Judas was chosen by Christ himself. So just remember that. Jeanette, a lot of times your talks, just like mine, trigger you, mine trigger. So we both have to, we got to get our.
I understand. It's just that
I forget
I get triggered. I get triggered when you do the Protestant Catholic thing, because I believe we're all one.
You got to
in my heart, we're all one. Yes, we know a lot more than the Protestants, because we just have learned and we have studied and we have brought up differently, but we're all the same in God. So I just don't like the difference.
Hold on. When you get triggered, this is my suggestion.
I'm sorry.
When you get triggered, hold on. When you get triggered, what I want you to do is open your bridge building skills like you just did a few moments ago. You started explaining, which is that instead of allowing yourself to get triggered, help educate. Okay? Because you are a very good bridge builder, which is why God gave me you, because you helped me with bridge building. So see, we're still exchanging. Use your triggering to educate. That's what I like. Okay. So let's move on.
Yes.
He related the fact of having taken flesh from the blessed germ. Here's where, again, Eucharist, of which God had deprived Adam before his fall. That blessed germ, Adam didn't have it. He needed it to go through all these covenants. It means that which all Israel should have become worthy of him, had descended through many generations. He explained how his corning, I don't know what corning means, Jeanette, had often been retarded. It must be a growing thing, Jeanette. When they do corn, you know about growing. Jeanette's a gardener, if you don't know. You should see her yard and her towers. What?
I just want to say that germ thing is in her book a lot, guys. And it was from the very beginning too. And I had a hard time
understanding. There must be a corning process. though.
The germ thing that she talks about is in the book also during Mary's conception, during a lot of the patriarchs, they have a germ, like the one that was given, that was like in the hip or whatever of who was it?
They're talking
The
about DNA.
fighting,
They're
the
talking about
fighting,
DNA. That the germ
well,
is
the
DNA.
germ, and she also talks about the
The
germ as
uterus has DNA in it.
she's also talking about the germ as a shiny thing that she sees. She sees a shiny thing in a lot of her readings.
Jeanette,
That's what it is.
Jeanette, do you know what they actually took a scientific picture of? When the sperm meets the egg, a light, it happens inside. There's an actual picture of this that they did scientifically.
Okay.
That's the shiny thing.
Yeah.
The
okay.
the germ is DNA. As
Yeah.
a gardener, you should understand that too, right? There must be some kind of process to corning that she's referring to here. And what she's talking about is the corning had so often retarded, because when the priest that was a scientist, again, another link I got to put, that did a lot of the germing, where he was showing gardening stuff, that he created the botany and ecology. He created that whole field by priests. You know how many priest scientists? I'll put below. Okay, so what they're talking about is DNA, and the same in gardening. And that's why Jesus is traveling on this road, throwing seed to get people to get to the baptism. Because when you get baptized, even a Protestant, when they come into the church, as long as they're baptized in Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the Catholic Church says no need to rebaptize, because you are one of us already.
That's true.
So, you know, again, our Protestants are our brothers and sisters. We just have the fullness of the faith with all the sacraments. So again,
that's a perfect explanation right there that you just said.
Okay.
That's the perfect explanation.
Bridge building. You didn't get triggered. You used your bridge building skills.
That's the perfect explanation you just gave, instead of saying Protestants blah blah blah, Protestants blah blah blah, and
that's
that we're
Jeanette
better.
teaching me bridge building.
That's perfect. So use that sentence.
Yep. That's
Write
Jeanette.
it down. Use that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that direction.
No problem.
Okay. So it's all about seed, which Jesus is planting. Okay. So, and he said it had to be worthy of him that descended through many generations. Each generation there are mutations, and holiness is in the seed of the Essenians, which I believe that possibly, I'm just guessing, the Ashkenazis, which my daughter is a little piece of. She may not be like the super intelligent Pulitzer Prize. Jeanette's daughter's very academic, but she's very intelligent, and she's really people intelligent. My daughter, she's a Pisces, you know. But anyway, so I think one of your daughters a Pisces? No? Oh, I love water signs, except not Scorpio. I'm a little nervous about.
Gayleen is a Pisces.
Funny. Is she?
Yeah, Gayleen. All my friends, for some reason.
That must have been why God led her to you, because you need to teach her more. She's getting better, as you say. Yeah, she's a bridge builder to people like that too. I mean, you're a huge bridge builder, not just Protestants. So anyway, guys, so sorry, my son had COVID. I've been exposed, so I had a little tiny version of it, but I've been slamming down vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams, 8 hours, you know, each day. So 8,000 a day. Has to be every hour though. Anyway, okay, so look, because vitamin C helps maintain cell membrane so it doesn't spread through the cells. Okay, so he explained how the corning had been retarded and chosen vessels. Again, another symbolism, vessels. You know, vessels are vases in the Bible. So they are chosen vessels. These people are chosen vessels, symbolic, had become unworthy. And I saw all this as a reality. You see, she understands things. That's how she jumps back and forth. her time, and that's why you have to be careful when you read her readings. Okay, we have a lot to go. Hurry up. Okay, so she saw all the ancestors of Jesus, the ancient patriarchs. They gave their blessing to the firstborn. Remember, the firstborn is supposed to be the priest of the family. My son was, my younger son was, because my older son was sick last night during Rosary. He was such a good priest of the family last night. Oh, sorry, I got the hiccups. I saw that the morsel and drink of the holy cup with Abraham had received from the angel, that again, the Eucharist, along with the promise of a son, Isaac, were the symbol of the most holy sacrament of the new covenant. It's about the new covenant, guys, and that their invigorating power was due to the flesh and blood of the future Messiah. Again, I will put the link that Jeanette that tells all about the Bible, but it's funny too. It's cute. I saw the ancestors of Jesus receiving this sacrament from the very beginning, guys. In order, look at Jeanette's shirt, you guys. It's the rosary. In order to contribute to the incarnation of God, that I saw Jesus of the flesh and blood received from his forefathers, instituted the most august. I don't know what the most august sacrament means, Jeanette. I do know, wasn't the Mother Mary conceived in August, or wasn't there was something in August with the Mother Mary, okay, for the uniting of man and God. I don't know if that's what is referring to August, because there's a feast day that I think is the conception. I don't know, but something about August. Okay, so Jesus spoke much to Eliud, also to sanctify Anne and Joachim. Remember, that's what we're working toward in our life, is sanctifying our lives in every event. He told him that not by Joseph that he had been conceived, but from Mary, because Joseph was not, even though on his family tree he is blood related to them, if you go up according to the genealogy, but Mary and him did not come together sexually and create Jesus, as you know if you're watching this. So the supernatural conception of Mary under the Golden Gate, remember, you guys, he told him that not by Joseph had he been conceived, but by Mary according to the flesh, that she had been conceived. And this is in her vision. So the pure blessing had been taken from Adam before the fall, through which Adam had descended. Okay, we got all that. Possessed by Joseph in Egypt, they needed each of those covenants. And he said, the free man which had been sent through the weakness of humanity, and he received and felt everything like a man. He's talking about himself, like the serpent Moses in the desert. He would one day be raised up on Mount Calvary, where the body of the first man lay buried. The first man is laid buried. I bet they've looked for him based on this book. A lot of scientific stuff that they look for in archaeology is based on this book. Every field is affected in scientific and archaeology. I'll put below the book. Okay, so he referred to the sad future awaiting him in the ingratitude of man. Eliud, confident, answer question and question. Let's see if we can skip some of this. He would have no external kingdom. That is because we are the body of Christ when we take that sacrament. That's all she's explaining. So what he's saying here is his kingdom would be within. When we take that Eucharist, we are his kingdom. Even though, like Mother Angelica says, we have houses, parishes, and they should be as beautiful as God's house. We are the body of Christ going out of his house. Remember that. Remember the gush out of the side of Christ, the water and all that, blood and water. The old man and the sacrifice. The old man spoke so simply and naturally. Okay, life and death. More chaste to Anne. Had to marry twice. It was to protect her. And he wanted proper fruits to be destined produced by this branch, because he wanted Anne to have more children to populate the earth, so they would become Christians, and they would lead. You don't know how many people out there are, especially the Jews for Jesus, are these people that came from this seed from Anne. He wanted that. It wasn't just to protect her, a man being needed. That's why Joseph died at a certain time, because he would not have allowed Jesus to be crucified, because he protected him. It had to work that way. Go ahead, Jeanette.
And that just brings to mind the fact that everything we have, everything we are, we were made not for ourselves to enjoy. We were made for a purpose for his purpose. He has a purpose for all of us. Doesn't matter how little of a role we play in this creation of his.
That's right.
It's all his.
That's
Everything
right.
we own is his.
That's right.
That's why he asks for tithings. He asks for first fruits, because that's our way of saying thank you for what you've given us.
Right.
And this is Anne's way of saying thank you.
And
Be
look
done
up
unto me.
fruits. What that means. First fruits, very important. First, Jesus, first fruits. That means the best. You don't give Jesus the leftovers and the crumbs. You give the best. Your guardian angel can help you there. Mine has. Okay. So she saw her lying on the couch. Okay, we can skip that. The foot of her bed. Oh, this is when Anne, his grandmother, was dying. Mary was at the head, Jesus at the foot, and she wanted Jesus's blessing. Think of the hospice.
What a holy death, just like Joseph. Joseph is the patriarch of the happy death, because
which is in our consecration of Joseph. I'll put below link. Oh,
Joseph had Mary and Jesus holding him as he was dying. So Anne had the same thing. Wow, I didn't know this. This is awesome. Yes.
So suddenly she glanced up, became white as snow, and she saw drops like pearls starting on her forehead. And guess what that's from? While my mom was dying, that's the kidneys shutting down when that happens.
Oh.
Yes. Scientifically, your daughter will understand it, because she's a new nurse, so she may not. But oh, Jeanette, stop. Don't be silly. Don't get triggered. You're so silly. Don't be triggered. I cried out. Oh, she is dying. She is dying. And in my eagerness, I wanted to clasp her. We didn't want to let her go. That's why it's important that we have all the books of the Bible, praying for the dead. Those things are important, guys. It seemed to me that she came and rested in them. She's still in your ancestor, Lynn, Mama. I'm talking with you. She's your descendant, but a piece of you is in heaven. You ever hear people when they die, they say, they have my daughter, a piece of me is in heaven. Look, that's right. It's not eternal. We only have about 80 years. We're going to be reunited. My mom was so upset that I wouldn't get crazy. I told you, I believe I had a near-death experience. That's why I'm not afraid of death with my drowning when I was 5. I am telling you, you will see them again. I told my kids, when I die, celebrate my life. Don't cry a moment. Don't cry past a moment, because you're going to see me again. Just listen to what I taught you that when I knew, not what I taught you when I didn't know and I screwed up. Listen to my recent stuff that I learned and I'm reteaching. Anyway, through our family rosary. It's a gospel on a string. You guys can teach your kids so much. Ask for Mother Day for a spiritual bouquet. Monthly, do the rosary. You'll get to do the 4 rosaries 3 times in the year. That's what I'm doing. And each time I'm teaching them a little bit more and a little bit deeper. Okay. So Eliud related many things, the virtues of Mary in the temple. Remember when she went to the temple? And as he spoke, when they said that she would be pierced, Protestants have to understand about why Mary is the highest level. It's about that presentation in your rosary. She saw her teacher Noemi again. Jeanette, we learned Noemi is one of Lazarus' relatives. Again, we get to hear another. I love learning these family relations. They're holy people. They're so holy. She's an Essenian. They're the holy people. So I saw that Mary learned from her how to knit, Jeanette. She learned how to knit. Oh my God, from Mary. Mary learned from Lazarus' family member, Noemi. So she used to go with Noemi and cleanse the different vessels. Again, symbolic, cleansing the vessel. That's what we have to do. And utensils soiled with the blood of sacrifice. That we no longer have to kill poor animals for sacrifice. I'm so glad God did that. It just kills me, even though that's why I love Jeanette being a vegetarian. I can fast, which Jeanette has a hard time with, but she does not eat meat, which I have a hard time. I'm very anemic right now. That's why you see I'm so pale. I have to put too much makeup because I am so pale because I'm extremely anemic right now. And which is why my doctor thinks I have cancer again, which I know I don't. But anyway, um, the point is I wasn't eating enough meat. I need meat. No plant-based is going to help me with that. But I love the fact that Jeanette she doesn't get anemic because she's from a different, she has a different DNA. So anyway, so she saw Mary learning to, and they were cleaning the vessels for the blood of sacrifice. Certain parts of the animals cut up and prepared for the food of priests served in the temple. That's first fruits. Again, it's back to first fruits. She saw that they give them the best of their lambs. Remember, the first lamb had to be no bones broken. Jesus didn't have any bones broken to hold him up so that he could say the last words. That's why it couldn't be broken. See that?
And we just learned from our readings, especially of the rosary that we've been doing through her visions, that while Jesus was going through preparation and getting ready to go on the cross and everything, the lambs at the same time, it explains exactly what was going on in the other rooms. And wow, it's just amazing.
So remember, first fruits is the best of what you have to give,
Yes.
not the crumbs of your leftovers for people. And the poor are they're just like Protestants. They're just as valuable. The poor, the homeless man, he is no less valuable than you or I. I don't care the richest man, Trump, next to a homeless man, which by the way, Trump has allowed different homeless people to live in his towers and stuff. You wouldn't believe the things Trump has done. Anyway, so look, so she saw Zachary turn to serve in the sanctuary, visiting the child Mary. Remember, Simeon also knew her. I don't know, Jeanette, if this is the same Simeon, because Simeon is an old man that tells
it must be it must be another one. It must be. I mean, the names the names were very used.
Yeah. So I saw her pious and lowly serving the temple. This is Noemi. Okay. So look, guys, remember when they talked about Mary as a little girl with teachers and all? Noemi was one of those. Okay. So they worked in the temple. They served in the temple like we serve in our parishes. The whole Catholic Church is after them. First fruit. We have so many levels here, guys. Okay. So they spoke of Christ's conception. Eliud told Mary's visit to Elizabeth. The visitation again in the rosary. I saw the Blessed Virgin going with Elizabeth, Zachary, and Joseph from Zachary's house to another little property belonging to him. Remember, they were very rich, where there was no water. And what does the Virgin do? She goes into that garden with her little rod, just like Aaron's rod. Again, everything is parallels. And she goes and she pierces the earth. That's why Lourdes, again, Mary, same thing. She wasn't there.
I love that. I didn't know that. I love that fact that she saw that Mary was actually doing, probably following from a messenger from God what to actually do. Kind of like Moses, what Moses did.
And
Mary was doing it.
And what we've learned Jesus had done. Remember in some of the towns? When he was young?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how an angel would come and pierce it, messengers, and tell them there's where a spring will be. And he would tell them. Mary has her guardian angel. Can you imagine Mary? By the way, we've learned through guardian angels that there are different levels of intelligence in the ones that are higher, like the seraphim and the higher up, the more intelligent. Our guardian angels are the least intelligent, but they're way above us, guys, way above us.
And
that's why you don't name them. You don't name them. Go ahead, sorry.
Didn't we also learn that the holy and the prophets and all those people had two?
Yeah, we did hear something about that.
They had two instead of one.
Opus Angularum down below. You could do the consecration, but you have to send in to get the book. You have to send in a registration and get approved, because then you get consecrated at the end. You have to have the formation meetings and all. But anyway, you don't have to have the meetings, but as long as you do it like the meetings, and then in the end you get a consecration. Only one lay thing that is done by a priest, just so you know. Opus Angularum. It's a link below. Okay, if you want more about it, email me and I'll tell you. In the confidential Discord, I'll put you in touch with the nun from there and she will help you get registered. In confidential discourse, like the above, interrupted only by prayer, Eliud treated Jesus, simply joyously chosen human being, some distance from the rocky cavern. There were 20 Essenians living on the mountain. Men and women living apart from each other. You know, there are a lot of incest. I mean, you even look at Lot. Incest can happen because men are human. Women, that's why there's the liberals today, there's too much nudity, which is why we don't go into church with priests with too short of dresses and cleavage. You have to be very careful how you dress. You are not to tempt a priest. Same thing about other men. This is why women, I mean, I understand when you have a beautiful body, you want to share these things, but this is the reason we have to be very careful. And look, back then, the men and women were separated. And it wasn't to say women weren't as good. It's because women need to be protected. It's not a bad thing, the way the liberals put it. It's a beautiful thing. God wants to protect, just like Mary. Beautiful. Just remember that. God honors. That's why we honor Mary. Just remember that. Okay. Okay. So Jesus ate with them alone, consisting of bread, honey, fish, weaving, agriculture, chief occupation of these people. They dwelt on the highest peak of the ridge. Let's get going here. 2 more pages. Okay, so I don't know what this rubbish or dirt and bones. I have to look that up. I don't have time. Mary's house stood on a hill. I wanted to get the map, guys, and show. Oh, I'm going to do that for next time. I'm going to show the map to show you guys when we go through this. I have this one map from, it's from Jeanette is doing a course right now. And it's so weird how I found the time thing, and it gives us the map. I'm going to, use it. Was that in the refrigerator? Is that your probiotics?
No, they're my beads for,
okay. Keep your probiotics.
No, I put them in my vitamin containers, my beads for my rosaries.
Okay. Oh, I see. But Jeanette, remember, keep your probiotics in the fridge. Never leave them out more than a second, because the little germs in there die. Okay. So otherwise you're wasting your money. Okay. So Mary, the other woman, accompanied by Kalea, another name, Leah's son, arrived in Capernaum. I'm going to stop this real quick and go find the thing. Hold on. Recording. Okay, guys. So Jeanette was just talking that yesterday, her rosary thing was so interesting on the hopeful rosary that she kind of created.
That was just for you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So the Palatinians, this was a map at the time of Jesus. And what did it just say, Jeanette? It just said at Capernaum. So it says, they arrived at her house in the valley. So Mary had and Joseph had another house at Capernaum that belonged to Levi, which was a priest, because his name is Levi. That means he comes from the Levites. That's what the Bible tells us. Whoops. So where's Capernaum, Jeanette? Here. Jeanette,
I'm not very geographical.
Here it is. Okay. Here it is. Maps are so important for me. It helps me know where we're at. So here's Capernaum. So she says it's between Capernaum and something else. Okay, arose above the hill opposite. Okay, so just understand it's near here, where one of Mary's houses was she used from the priest. This was Palestine at the time of Jesus, and which is now a different map today. Look, there's Nazareth, and above Nazareth is Capernaum and the Sea of Galilee, just so you kind of get a sense of where we're at. Okay, so remember, Jesus is traveling. So, okay, so it had been rented from Levi through Peter's family. And for Peter and Andrew knew the Holy Family, again, the disciples, they all knew, and then John the Baptist, whose disciples were there. The house had several buildings attached to it. Oh, good. We only have one more thing. So that they could stay when visiting. So they gave a place to live for the disciples as they were following Jesus, which is so beautiful. And Mary Cleopas, who is Mary's, like, I guess, adopted sister, we found out, with her little boy Simeon. Maybe he was named after the Simeon. So toward evening, Mary, he might have been one of the family members of Simeon and was named after him. But Jews don't name, at least now, they don't name after someone living. So he must have been dead. So I don't know if that's true then. Anyway, so, but I don't know if it's the same now. Their customs, I'm sure things change. But toward the evening, Jesus accompanied that to the house to Nazareth, which we just saw in that map. So they went from Capernaum to Nazareth. There was a house in between these two guys. Okay. And then outside the city walls, Joseph had his carpenter shop. So that means, Jeanette, Joseph's carpenter shop was around here. So you see how we can see, which I love maps for? Okay, so those sons were some of the playmates of Jesus. Eliud took Jesus to visit these people. They offered guests the morsels of bread and a little fresh water. The water was especially good in Nazareth. Oh, if I ever went to the Holy Land, I'd want the water in Nazareth. I'd go just to get water. Maybe we could order some. I saw, you can order Lord's water through the mail. I saw Jesus sitting on the ground among them, exhorting them to go. He's spreading the seed. Remember, gardening is very important symbol in the Bible. They acted somewhat shyly in Jesus' regard. They looked past him as themselves. Remember, you can't be a hero in your own hometown. And they're like, wait a minute, what? This is why he raised John the Baptist to go before Jesus to spread seed. Again, the person they were traveling was John the Baptist, who God told to go and hide in the caves. So they didn't know him as much. They respected him because God gave him, he put several angels around John. Didn't we learn that, Jeanette? He put several angels around John and Elizabeth and all them. So
yeah, the angels were actually guiding John what to do, what to say. He was following their
direction,
instruction. Yeah.
And we learned in our consecration, you'll know the difference with your angel. First of all, it won't be something you want to do usually. And angels use very few words, usually 3 to 5 words or less. That's why I was able to tell the deacon when he gave a great homily. I walked up to him and I said, I'm learning in my angel consecration class, because when he went and visited the garden and something told him, leave now. I don't know why he was supposed to leave now, but I said, that was your guardian angel, because they only speak in 3. He only got 2 words, leave now. 3 to 5 words. If you hear 3 to 5 words and someone's telling you something, it's your guardian angel. And they only do direction where they only do necessary, which Jeanette is in that book that I sent you. So I'll tell you off camera. So look, that's what's important. So he's telling them, go to the baptism of John. And then what does John do? Just like Mary, points back to Jesus, because they respect John. So he tells them he's the son. What does he say? Behold, the Son of God. That's what John the Baptist says, right, Jeanette?
Yep.
That's what he says. Behold, the Son of God. He's talking about Jesus. Says it in the Bible.
And he tells Jesus, I am unworthy to even untie your sandals that you walk on. Why am I supposed to baptize you? You should baptize me.
But God deliberately
said, this is necessary for the righteousness. This is necessary. Also, Jesus in the pond, I can just imagine all that. Oh, yeah, the river. I can just imagine how holy that water became with Jesus in it.
Oh, it's holy still today. It's holy still today because of it. A lot of people go there to get baptized, like different, even Protestants do that. So, because we all share the Holy Land, and that's good. God wants us to, even with the Muslims. They think they own it all. They think they own Palestine. Anyway, they could scarcely reconcile themselves to the position he now held toward them. He indeed heard of the Messiah. They indeed heard of the Messiah, but they could hardly think of Jesus was he. We must put down our pride. Forgiveness and pride, very hard lessons to learn. Guys, next week, Jesus and Eliud walking and conversing. You wouldn't believe what we're going to learn from that. Don't miss next episode, just so you know. Guys, this was one of the most beautiful readings. Oh, Jeanette, I think they just get better and better. Just like your rosary things just get better and better.
It was a long one though, but it was good.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you come back next session. What are we doing? Monday and Friday?
Monday. Yeah,
It's
Monday.
gonna be a good one.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to stop it.
No, you're good.